Chair recognizes the gentleman from Oklahoma, Mr. Lucas, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Chair, for holding this hearing, and to the witnesses for testifying. Businesses use both private and public markets to raise capital, and the committee's dedicated to ensuring both avenues are healthy for both companies and investors. Public markets have enormous benefits to a wide range of investors, and we'll continue to support policies that strengthen public markets and encourage businesses to utilize public offerings. We also recognize that healthy private markets supports our robust public markets and benefits both companies and investors. That said, Mr. Elinoff, could you discuss the advantages to companies and investors of having access to both public and private markets?
The democratization of access to deal flow, which is what the Jobs Act really did, established a mechanism by which investors from around the country could invest in deals in other parts of the country that they would never otherwise have had the social networks to know that those deals were looking for money. And they post those deals on websites called funding portals that are staffed by investment professionals that do extensive due diligence on the deals and respond to some of the concerns that were raised previously, and so those deals are vetted so the investors can have access and invest in those deals. And have access to early valuations, like is being suggested, is a problem that if you don't get in on the earlier deals while they're private, you won't benefit from the increased valuations over time. I think retail investors having access to both the public markets, which they do through their Merrill Lynch or E-Trade account, where they don't have other people doing diligence for them necessarily, is equally important to learning how to invest. What's great about the crowdfunding provisions generally are there are caps in Reg CF that limit the amount of exposure that retail investors have. And as far as I know, after a decade, neither regulators nor commercial participants have been upset by the results over the last decade, which is a reason why we can continue to liberalize.
Continuing along that line, Mr. Elinoff, we are 10 years from the passage of the Jobs Act. Could you give us your perspective on what we're seeing in the economy that should encourage Congress to revisit provisions of the Jobs Act?
Well, I'll give you a statistic. I spoke to Sherwood Neese, who was the godfather of crowdfunding, if you remember him traipsing through these halls in 2012. When we increased Reg CF from 1 million to 5 million, which we had wanted from the beginning, 5 million, 435 companies in the last few years have now raised more than the $1 million cap, which increases jobs, funding for entrepreneurs, helps individual states across the country, and again, minorities and women. 45 of those companies raised the $5 million max. So why would we not increase it further in order to get more company to raise more money to carry out the empowerment of the American dream for entrepreneurs?
Thank you. Very insightful comments. May I yield back, Madam Chair?
Gentleman